all golf courses around the world have been looking at this question, in one form or another for a long time. It's in their interest to find the most balanced way to manage their golf course so that they can do it profitably, but also successfully, as I mentioned, with the other competing components of it. And so everybody has been trying a variety of things, and the industry itself across the board has been investing in developments and evolutionary developments, if you like, to help with that question. I mean, a good example is moving away from managed irrigated turf areas and putting more natural turf areas or natural species onto a golf course, creating almost like island golf where you're playing across waste areas, natural waste areas onto managed turf areas. The whole thing is not being managed all the time. That just makes sense. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, that just makes sense to do things like that. And the seed manufacturers and developers, are producing varieties now which are far more drought tolerant, salt resistant, disease resistant, etc. So as these other restrictions come into place, be they water or certain chemicals, herbicides, pesticides that can't be used, can a grass survive without that extra help? And that's the seed manufacturers and developers, that's their job, that's what they're doing, and it's been remarkable. I mean, just the development of the paspalum, salt tolerant grasses from the early part of the 2000s through to now, it's been dramatic how much improvement that's allowed the slightly higher salt water to be used. So in a seaside environment where salts are a problem, whether they are because from the groundwater or from sea spray or the like, or just because that's where your water source is, you can now use a higher salt content water. The other thing is people are, not so much in Northern Europe, but certainly in Southern Europe and in other parts of the world, using treated sewage effluent, TSE, from communities where that water is being treated to a standard not suitable for drinking, but certainly suitable for application, whether it be in agriculture or in golf or sport and amenities. So that is happening. In Northern Europe, that's not really been so necessary up until now. And actually, water companies have really not been thinking that that's where they want to do with that. And actually, a lot of that water just getting pumped out into the sea. So, there is possibly and should be some way of looking at that. But, that will require regulations around health and safety, et cetera, to be managed in the same way, because, you don't want to have water being put onto a golf course that's not suitable or would cause any issues for people coming into contact with it. And then the other thing I think which is really interesting is the development of the technology around reverse osmosis and desalinization. That's something which is now becoming more economic than it has been in the past. There's some wonderful technologies being developed across the world there, particularly in countries where this is really critical. In Israel particularly, and other parts of the Middle East and other parts of the hotter parts of the world, this has really become really critical. And so, the two big issues with RO plants is the amount of energy it takes, to force water through a mesh to actually extract the salt is high. So how do you reduce that? And then what do you do with the substrate that gets left afterwards once you've taken it out of the water? These are two problems which companies in that space are really tackling with, and some great steps have been made. So, it is becoming more practical and therefore possible, and is going to grow in its use, I think, around the world. Not just for golf, but for all non-potable drinking water scenarios.